at practice today and is looking good for him to be able to play?
Yeah,
tomorrow?
he was in good spirits, so looking good.
Steve, you guys held that team under 100 points, and that doesn't happen very often. I think it happened maybe a handful of times all season. How do you think they did it, and were you a little bit encouraged, inspired by what you saw them do without Draymond, without Gary?
Yeah, I think it was a great example of why the game has to connect. And we talk about it all the time. If you execute offensively and you rebound and you take care of the ball, then sets up your defense to be more successful. And that was the biggest key in the game. There were few possessions where we got lost in transition, but we rarely turned it over. We forced them to play more in the half court than we did in the first two games. And, they missed some threes that they'll probably hit tomorrow, but so did we. I mean, that's all part of the playoffs. You make or miss shots, that happens, but you want to just take away the basics, and I thought we did a better job of that.
Steve, would it be fair if I said the reason Moses Moody played well was because you waited for the right moment to play him? Like if I say, this is part of your plan to make people focus on the right thing, so now when you get in the moment, you're ready? Is that a fair kind of assessment?
There was never a point in the season where I said, I'm going to wait till the playoffs to play Moses. But the entire season was about development. I say it all the time. He's a junior at Arkansas, so he had a lot to work on. And to Moses' credit, he worked on it all year. And I thought over the last 6 weeks of the season, in practices, in his individual work, in scrimmages with the younger players, he took a big step up. And now he's being rewarded, and he's rewarding us too because of his maturity and his competitiveness and his shooting. So he's earned this, but that's how it's supposed to go. And I think we're basically saying the same thing. You just have to earn everything in this league, and so with the young players especially, it's something that everybody league wide is trying to sort through. If you're a rebuilding team, you can afford to throw your young guys out and just let them play through their mistakes. If you're a team like us, it's a lot more difficult to do that, and so you're just constantly trying to develop without playing these guys a ton and during games, and so you got to earn it, and Moses has earned it.
Is that a product of your situation? Is it better normally to just say, hey, Moses, go out there and play 50 games, and in this situation you'll be ready? I mean, it's two different paths. Is one better than the other? Is this one just works because of the team he's on with you guys? Well,
I think it's an issue that everybody around the league has to figure out for themselves. I think what I think we're seeing organizationally is we have to decide if we get a young guy, should we just put him in the G League his entire rookie year? Because I can tell you they're going to develop quicker if they play 50 real basketball games rather than going against our coaches in a 3-on-3. So I think it's with more and more players around the league coming to the league at 19 with very little experience, and better synergy with G League teams, G League franchises around the league. I think you're going to see more and more of that, of maybe drafting a player and just putting him in the G League all year. But you have to have the right roster balance to do that, and you got to figure all that out. So I think everybody is trying to sort through that, and ourselves included.
Another young player, you said before the game that this Kuminga does not have a real matchup, and maybe this is in the series for him, maybe a little deke by you because he did play. What were you thinking when he, like 6 seconds into his first stint, he jacks up that three. And what did he do better than I imagine you thought that was?
Well, he eventually made some big plays for us at both ends. You know, he came out of the corner for a dunk. He got a putback dunk on a Steph miss. He had a couple of great defensive possessions on Monk where he was really draped all over him. But that's, you know, it goes hand in hand with what Marcus was just asking about. It's all development with these young guys, and when the playoffs come, everything is more magnified. Every possession matters a little bit more, and so the tendency really is to play young guys less in the playoffs. So everything's going to depend on matchups and production, and you know, going forward, we'll just see how it plays out. But I was proud of JK for bouncing back the other night and playing better after the slow start.
Steve,
Go ahead.
what did you think of the looks Clay got in Game 3? I mean, not very many easy looks. It didn't seem like. I mean, he hit some big shots down the stretch, but
Much better second half looks than first half. First half, I thought we were all a little jumpy and maybe a little nervous, just trying too hard. And then the second half, Clay helped break the game open with his drive and kick game. You know, he's putting it on the floor and moving it, and now all of a sudden, drive, kick, swing, we're getting a wide open look on the weak side. And we need more of that from everyone tomorrow.
What did you think about, you know, Draymond at the start of this season created what you called the biggest crisis of your Warriors tenure, and then he gets suspended for Game 3. And what did you just think about the way that the guys kind of rallied behind him? He said that, you know, Steph, Clay, they said that they had his back. I mean, what did you think about the fact that they still have his back, you know, throughout everything?
Yeah, I thought our guys really responded well the other night without him and without Gary. We have a very proud group that's obviously accomplished an awful lot. And Draymond's absence wasn't going to keep them from accomplishing what they wanted to do. And everybody who stepped out on the floor gave us really good minutes. I thought Jermichael was really good. Dante, as we talked about, was fantastic. You know, Moses came off the bench, made some big plays. So there were a lot of guys who really contributed, but that's what it takes in the playoffs.
I mean, obviously, Draymond is so important to this team and what you do. So this might be a silly question, but doing those things that you liked in Game 3, is it going to be almost easier to then continue that in Game 4 with him back in there? Or are there some things with how you started with, you know, the three guards plus Andrew and Kevon that you liked, you want to play that lineup a little bit more? Or
Yeah, no, it's a great question. I think the biggest thing is, regardless of what lineup is out there, we got to take care of the ball, and we've got to make better decisions and smarter decisions. It was one of the best parts of Steph's game the other night. I know everybody focused on the shot making and the points, but he had 4 or 5 possessions where nothing was there. He pulled the ball back out. He got us organized. It was just really impressive to see him control the game, and so whether it's Steph, Draymond, Clay, Jordan, all of our decision makers on the ball, we got to be rock solid. We can't come down like we did in games 1 and 2 and try all kinds of crazy stuff and try to hit home runs. And we do that, there's going to be a lot of timeouts early in the game. We've got to get organized and efficient right away.
Steve, Draymond called Steph a master at work last game. Just want to know kind of your perspective as far as his body language or something that you see within him, whether it be on the court or on the bench when he is kind of in that zone.
Steph, you're talking about?
Yeah.
I see him really breathing during timeouts, closing his eyes, focusing, just being mindful of what has to happen, and getting his rest and relaxing his mind and his body during those 3-minute timeouts. And you can see it's really been helpful for him in terms of his focus. I mean, think about the first play of the series. He came off. There was nothing there, and he throws the ball to Harrison Barnes for no apparent reason, right? That's just focus, and so he understands that. The same thing that makes Steph so brilliant can sometimes cost him a possession or two. He just doesn't think a whole lot. But the other night he realized he had to think. The fact that he could do that and still do what he does with his shot making was pretty impressive.
To follow up on that, it sort of reminds me of a pitcher having a no-hitter, maybe. Leave the guy alone, let him close his eyes, let him breathe. You have some other personalities like that, too, when they get in their zone. Draymond, Clay. Is some of what you've discovered about the personalities on your team getting out of their way during a game?
Yeah, I think it's often my biggest challenge as a coach with this team is to understand when to step in and when to leave them alone, because often they play the best when I leave them alone. And then, they could be in a good groove and we make a couple of, poor decisions. And that's where I'm faced with that. I don't want to snap them out of this incredible spell they're in. On the other hand, take care of the damn ball, box out, And so that's the give and take. That's the line that I walk as their coach.
On that sort of line, definitely see Kenny kind of get into guys. I know.
Yeah, he doesn't walk the line.
Yeah. Is he that just assume he's going to take care of something if something needs to be said? Do you ever tell him, hey, maybe say something or two, and how important are kind of some of those fiery moments from
I mean, you want both, right? And that's why you need different personalities on a staff. Mike Brown last year was really good about being fiery when he needed to be fiery, and Kenny's been the same way this year. So you need both. You need ultimately you want the guys relaxed but alert and on point, and that's the goal every night.